Guys, I'm just going to do a quick short video, but hopefully you find it useful. It's about how I set these two devices up together to make techno, and use the sidechain function on this to affect tracks on this, so we can get a really bouncy techno rhythm going. So I'll show you what to do. At the minute we've got sound coming from the syntakt but nothing on the digitakt, and that's because the digitakt is going into the audio in on this and then out, but at the minute it's not set up. So I'm going to show you how to set that up, which is nice and easy. Hold function LFO, LFO, and there we are. You want to take that up. This is your external mixer. So there we go, we've got sound there now. What we're going to do is we're going to start off by just messing around and making sort of like an analog kick on the syntakt. So give it a little bit more snappiness. A little bit of overdrive. And that's a big techno kick. So on the 4. Obviously much too slow for techno. What's happening here is, to get them to link, we need, I've got the MIDI out. I've got the MIDI out going from the digitakt to the MIDI in on the syntakt, which basically means that this is sending MIDI to this. So what we want to do is we want to go into our MIDI settings, sync. We want to send transport and clock send. So now when we up the tempo on this to 132, which is more the techno realm, and press play on this, this will play. So it's a nice techno kick at the minute, but what I want to do is I want to create the rumble on the digitakt, and the reason being is because I want to use the sidechain function and the analog effects on this. So the rumble I create will be sidechained from the kick on this, which is going to make it sound big. It's going to make it sound, it's going to give it more movement. Obviously you can't route each track out separately into the effects, so you want to be careful. The settings you're going to have on this will affect everything the same on this. So if I want hats pumping, if I want hats on every 16, pumping, breathing, I'll put my hi-hat on here as well because that'll work the same. So yeah, basically you get your groove going, use everything like hats and rumble and stuff like that on the digitakt, and we'll get the big kick on here. So obviously we've got a kick. Now what we want to do is we want to find a kick to create the rumble on here. Let's have a look. We'll use that one. Right, so to create a rumble, it's fairly straightforward. So we want to change where this sample starts. At the minute, this is the shape of the sample, the kick, and it starts at the beginning. We want to move it over. We just want that bassy tail of the kick. And then we want to change the envelope because there's too much snap on the beginning of that. I don't know if you can hear that. Add some overdrive. So it's just like the kick, without the snappy initial hit at the beginning. And then obviously we want to add these steps in like that. Still a little bit too much high end. Obviously we're not using our filter, so we just use our filter to take the high end out because we don't need that on a rumble. And what I do is I do them similar, around 70-80 on the filter on the digitakt, for steps 1, 5, 9 and 13, and then for the rest I mess around, do different values because I want it to breathe. I want an interesting rumble. I believe that you've got to have, even your low frequencies need a bit of groove. So I'm just going to move that round, and then for more interest I'm going to take the envelope up a little bit, and now we should be in the realm of having a techno kick and a rumble when we press play. actually. Yeah, so what I want to do on this, just for interest, on the 4th page, just add another kick there. Right, so over to the effects. So we're going to hold function and effects, and this is your effects section, the analog effects block. And what we want is the digitakt to be affected by the analog effects, which is where your sidechain, etc., and your distortion and stuff like that lies. So here you've got the tracks, and you just need to select which tracks you want to be affected. So this one down here is our external input, which is our digitakt. We want that to affect it. Now what you need to do is we head over to the analog effects. There we go. We head over here now. What you need to do is you need to record this in. So this effects has actually got its own little sequencer. So what we want to do, this is our sidechain here. It's like an upside down envelope, and this envelope is how the compressor, sidechain compression, is going to work. So obviously we want a little short decay. We really want it to push that rumble down when the kick hits, but you know, we still want it there, and we want it on steps. We want it to hit and kick in steps 1, 5, 9, 13. We'll copy that to all the other pages. Now if we have a look at that. The rumble's there, but for me it's disappeared a little bit too much under that compressor. So if we maybe take the depth down a little bit, and we can add some analog drive. Sounds really nice in a minute, to be honest. Like I was saying before, you can't route these tracks out individually, so you know, you want to get your hats and stuff like that on the digitakt really, because you can get them pumping. Let's have a look at some hats. Put them on all 16, and they again should breathe. They should have a rhythm because of the compressor on here. Down a bit, take the amplitude down a bit. And then again, same with, you know, your typical hi-hat. So find a decent one to show an example of on this. Take the decay down. Really bouncy, you know, it's got a good rhythm to it. So yeah, you know, you could have a play around with these settings and stuff like that. You know, maybe take that drive down slightly. You know, and that sounds great, and that's without using, you know, pre-made samples and stuff like that. Yeah, and you can just go from there. Cheers.